Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Sharad Bihari Radha Sharad Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Sundar Radha Govinda Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannathe Baladev Subhadra Maharani Jaya Jagannathe Baladev Subhadra Maharani Jaya Gaurāngi Jaya Gaurāngi Gaurāngi Jaya Gaurāngi Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhu Pada Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhu Pada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणार भिंद भक्ति वेदांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। श्री गंगा मैया की जय। श्री जमुना मैया की जय। श्री भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समावेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaurāngi. Hare Hare Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Okay, so today we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 10 and 11. Am I supposed to show the screen for that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just take out the screen first. I'm sorry about that. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 10. Purushoanandam vinirvidya yada susa vinirgata Atmano yanam anavichan aposrakshir chukshir shuchihi. Purusho nandam vinirbhidya yadasu sa vinirgataha atmano yanam anvinchan aposrakshir chushihi shuchihi. Purusho nandam vinirbhidya yadasu sa vinirgataha atmano yanam anvinichan apo strakshit shuchihi. Anyone would like to repeat? No one writes to repeat.
Purushondam vinirvidya yada sausava vinirgata atmanoyanam vinichan apostrasik chuchi suchi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Puruso vandam bhinirvidya yadasau sa bhinirgataha atmano yanam anvichan apo sakrit chushi shushi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Purusho nidam vinirvidya yadasho sha vinirgataha atmano yanam anvichan aposhakshik shuchihi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Purusho andam vinirvidya yada saosa vinirgataha atmano havaya nam anvichan apo ashakshik jushri suchihi.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Synonyms. Purushaha, the Supreme Person. Paramatma, Andam, the universes. Vinirvidya, making them each separately situated. Yada, when. Asau, the same. Saha, he, bracket the Lord. Vinirgataha, came out. Atmanaha, of himself. Ayanam, lying in place. Anvichan, desiring. Apaha, water. Asrakshit, created. Shuchihi, the most pure. Shuchihi, transcendental. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After separating the different universes, the gigantic universal form of the Lord Mahavishnu, which came out of the causal ocean, the place of appearance for the first Purusha Avatara, entered into each of the separate universes, desiring to lie on the created transcendental water, Garbhodaka. Purport. After analysis of the living entities and the Supreme Lord Paramatma, the independent source of all other living beings, Srila Sukadev Goswami is now presenting the prime necessity for devotional service to the Lord, which is the only occupational business of all living entities. The Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, and all his plenary portions and extensions of plenary portions are non-different from one another, and thus the supreme independence is in each and every one of them. In order to prove this, Shukadev Goswami, as promised to King Parikshit, describes herein the independence of the Purusha Avatara, personality of Godhead, even in the sphere of the material creation. Such activities of the Lord are also transcendental, and therefore they are also Leela or pastimes of the absolute Lord. Such pastimes of the Lord are very conducive to the hearers. are very conducive to the hearers for self-realization in the field of devotional service. Some may argue, why not then relish the transcendental Leela of the Lord as exhibited in the land of Mathura and Vrindavan, which are sweeter than anything in the world? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur replies that the pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan are meant to be relished by the advanced devotees of the Lord. Neophyte devotees will misunderstand such supreme transcendental activities of the Lord, and therefore the Lord's pastimes in the material sphere related to creation, maintenance, and destruction are very relishable by the Prakrita or mundane devotees of the Lord. As the yoga system, mainly based on bodily exercises, is meant for the person who is too much attached to the bodily conception of existence. Similarly, the Lord's pastime related to the bodily conception of existence. Similarly, the Lord's pastime related to the creation and destruction of the material world are for those who are too materially attached. For such mundane creatures, the functions of the body and functions of the cosmic world through physical laws in relationship with the Lord are also therefore included in understanding of the lawmaker. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the scientist, explain the material functions by so many technological terms of material law. But such blind scientists forget the lawmaker. The Srimad Bhagavatam points out the lawmaker. One should not be amazed by the mechanical arrangement of the complicated engine or dynamo, but one should praise the engineer who creates such a wonderful working machine. That is the difference between the devotee and non-devotee. Devotees are always full with praising the Lord who directs the physical laws. In Bhagavad Gita 9.10, the direction of the Lord upon the material nature is described as follows. Maidakshena prakriti suyeti sachararam hetunena kaunteya jagat viprati vartate. The material nature full of physical laws is one of my different energies. Therefore, it is neither independent nor blind, because I am transcendently all-powerful. Simply by my glancing over material nature, the physical laws of nature work so wonderfully. The actions and reactions of physical laws work on that account, and thus the material world is created and maintained and annihilated again and again. Men with poor fund of knowledge, however, become astonished by studying the physical laws, both within the construction of the individual body and within the cosmic manifestation, and foolishly they decry the existence of God, taking it for granted that physical laws are independent without any metaphysical control. The Bhagavad Gita 9.11 replies to this foolishness in the following word: Avajanati mam mudha Manushyam tanum ashritam param bhavam ajanato mam bhuta maheshwaram. The foolish man Muda do not know the personality of Godhead in his eternal form of bliss and knowledge. The foolish man thinks of the transcendental body of the Lord as something like his own, and therefore he cannot think of the unlimited controlling power of the Lord, which is not visible in the acting of physical laws. The Lord is, however, visible to the naked eyes of the people in general when he descends himself by his own personal potency. Lord Krishna incarnated himself as he is and played very wonderful parts as the Lord himself, and the Bhagavad Gita concerns such wonderful actions and knowledge. Yet foolish men will not accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Generally, they consider the infinitesimal and infinite the features of the Lord, because they themselves are unable to become either the infinitesimal or the infinite. But one should know that the infinite and infinitesimal sizes of the Lord are not his highest glories. The most wonderful manifestation of the Lord's power is exhibited when the infinite Lord becomes visible to our eyes as one of us. Yet his activities are different from those of the finite beings. Lifting a mountain at the age of 7 years and marrying 16,000 wives in the prime of his youth are some of the examples of his infinite energy. But the Mudhas, after seeing them or hearing about them, decry them as legendary and take the Lord as one of them. They cannot understand that the Lord Sri Krishna, although in the form of your human being by his own potency, is still the Supreme Lord with full potency as the Supreme Controller. When, however, the Mudas give submissive and oral reception to the messages of the Lord, as in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, through the channel of disciplic succession, such Mudas also become devotees of the Lord by the grace of his pure devotees. And for this reason only, either in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastimes of the Lord in the material world are delineated for the benefit of those men with poor fund of knowledge. I know it's a long explanation, but we have to cover text 11 also, and then I'm going to explain. Text 11. Tas avatsit swasrishtasu saharsham parivartasaran tena narayano nama yad apa purushod bhavaha. That translation, that supreme person is not impersonal and therefore is distinctly a nara or person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the supreme nara is known as nara. And because he lies down on the water, he is known as Narayana. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. Dadati Sa Padantikam. Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurāngi Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhuba evacha patita nama pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. I'm very, very grateful to the assembled devotees, assembled Vaishnavas in this assembly. So today's chapter 10th of Canto 2, Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions. It's a very interesting canto, Canto 2, because although this canto is the smallest of the cantos among all the 12 cantos, but it contains such important message of bhakti or devotional service. Although we can say that this canto is quite technical because it includes the process of creation also, and it includes so many other technical terms. But again, if we see from chapter 1 till chapter 9, how Shukadev Goswami is establishing the that bhakti yoga or the path of bhakti is the supreme, and how if a devotee concentrate his mind, meditate his mind, focus his mind on the supreme personal form of Sri Krishna, that is the ultimate goal of our life. So this chapter says Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, because this text 10 is quite a long text. Usually, when we read a translation, when we read a translation and we read a purport, we usually come across this pattern that translation has a subject matter and purport has different subject matters, also including the translation, the subject matter of the translation. So today's class, I decided to break in parts, starting with the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then how we have reached to this particular text, and what are the main subject matters which has been covered in the translation and as well as in the purport. I will try to go as slow as I can so that everything, we can cover everything in such a manner that we can understand also along through. So, importance of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, hold this opinion that whatever Lord Chaitanya has mentioned is the highest truth. And Srinath Chakravarti Pad, he in Chaitanya Mata Manjusha, he is giving Lord Chaitanya's conclusive opinions in a nutshell. And there is a very long sloka for that. I'm not going to recite that for the matter of time. But in that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holds 5 things as the supreme, as the most important thing. First is Ashraya, object of worship, Sri Krishna, son of Nanda Maharaj. And second is Dhama, transcendental abode, Vrindavan Dham. Third is worship, Upasana, worship. That is the worship which has been performed by Vraj Gopis. And fourth is Pramana, spotless authority, visit Srimad Bhagavatam. And fourth is our goal of life, prema, or pure love for God. So even Jiva Goswami has six sandarbhas, and in his first Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami proves that the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are perfect, supreme, and conclusive. And all other scriptures follow Srimad Bhagavatam just as courtiers, they follow their king's order. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme conclusion. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the supreme conclusion. And what is the supreme conclusion? Supreme conclusion is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And today, and also in Srimad Bhagavatam has been compared to 4 different things: lamp, sun, tasty fruit, and Mohini Murti. And how these 4 things, comparison is given, analogy is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, that how a tasty fruit, we always give this analogy that Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all these scriptures. And also it is like a sun, because it just illuminates wherever it goes. Same for the lamp. When we light a lamp, everything, the darkness just vanish. And also with Mohini Murti of the Lord, because Mohini Murti, what she did, she was giving the nectar to the demigods and normal juice to demons. As Srila Prabhupada also explained in this purport, that even mundane philosophers, they approach Srimad Bhagavatam with some other intention, they will get that juice from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is just like Mohini Murti also for devotees. It is giving the nectars which is going to take a devotee to to immortality or just in the eternal realm of spiritual world. And for those mundane philosophers, this Bhagavatam is going to give that juice which they are looking for. For example, the Virat Swarup of the Lord. So now that's it with the importance of Bhagavatam. That's why we study Srimad Bhagavatam, because it contains the supreme science of the absolute truth. Now, prior to this verse, text 10, we have covered in this particular chapter, which is called Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Now, Srila Prabhupada has given the titles to each and every chapter very cautiously and very carefully. And this chapter has been called Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions, because basically the 10 topics of Bhagavatam, which has been described almost in all the 12 cantos, more and in the Bhagavatam has been given here. I'm sure that till now we have studied Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Oshanam, Uti, Manavantara, Ishanukatha, Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. I'm sure the explanation has already been concluded for all these 10 topics. If not, just in one line, Sarga is universal creation by the Supreme Lord, or the primary creation, prime ingredients by the Supreme Lord. Visarga, secondary creation by Lord Brahma. Brahma acts like a gardener, and he just takes the seeds which has been given it to him by the Supreme Lord, and he is just sowing those seeds in the fertile field of material creation. And thus how all the living entities are getting this birth in different planetary system. Sthanam, positioning of living entities in various planetary systems. Poshanam, the Lord's protection for the devotees. Uti, inclination to act, fruitive activities. Manvantara, the reign of Manus. Ishanukatha, the topics of Lord's various incarnation and his devotees. Nirodha, annihilation, destruction. Mukti, liberation. Ashraya, the supreme shelter, Lord Shri Krishna. So it is very, very important to note that all these topics, 9 topics, all these 9 topics, they are dependent on the 10th topic. And what is the 10th topic? Anyone would like to repeat? What is the 10th topic of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Ashraya.
Ashraya. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Ashraya, or supreme shelter. So the other 9 topics are dependent on Ashraya, the supreme shelter. Supreme shelter is, who is the supreme shelter? Paramatma. And this Paramatma in 8 and 9 verses, we must have concluded that Paramatma is the shelter of this soul. And this soul is the shelter of Adhyatmic, subtle senses, Adi Devī, Adi Devik, sense deities, and Adi Bhautik, gross senses in the body, which are dependent on each other. Now, Lord Krishna, he says that by his energies, he pervades he pervades the world, in the entire world. But he pervades in the entire world, and Krishna is the shelter of that Paramatma, who is the shelter of the Jiva. With this Paramatma potency, Krishna pervades in the entire universe. Now, Lord Shri Krishna in chapter in chapter 7 and in chapter 9 as well as in chapter 10. He is saying, I by my Amcha, I pervade the entire world. Now, Krishna, he is supreme and he is the Ashraya of the Paramatma, and Paramatma is the Ashraya of soul. So that concludes that Krishna is the supreme shelter. Till now, up till 9th sloka, 9th verse, we have discussed this. Already discussed this. Now today, for text 10, I'm going to read the translation once again. After separating the different universes, the gigantic universal form of the Lord Mahavishnu, which came out of the causal ocean, the place of appearance for the first Purusha Avatara, entered into each of the separate universes, desiring to lie on the created transcendental water, Garbhodaka. So if we see, we can easily quickly understand that the theme of today's translation is that Krishna, that how the three super souls or the Purusha avatars of the Lord. So considering this theme, first I'm going to explain about the expansions of the Lord and how Krishna, by expanding, he comes as three Purush avatars and create this material universe. Now Krishna, he expands into innumerable forms. He expands into his plenary portions, expansions, and as well as its separated or differentiated portions or expansions, and differentiated expansions are jivas, jivatmas, living entities. And plenary expansions are his own expansions. And being all powerful, he can expand himself into forms with the same power and characteristics he possesses without diminishing himself in the least. And Krishna is linked to that original candle that lights other candles of the same luminosity. So Krishna expands himself. Now, there is, according to Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, Krishna in his Goloka Vrindavan, he is there as Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha, Swayam Rupa. He is there in his original form, in his two-handed form, playing the flute in his Swayam Rupa form. And from there, he expands in Swayam Prakasha. The Swayam Prakasha is his own expansion, but this Swayam Prakasha expands into two forms. One is Prabhav Prakasha and other is Vaibhav Prakasha. Once again, Swayam Rupa Krishna expand as Swayam Prakasha, and Swayam Prakasha means Prakasha, the Vibhuti or the light. Krishna expand himself as Prabhav Prakasha and Vaibhav Prakasha. This Prabhav Prakasha is when Krishna expanded himself in the form of 16,108 in Dwarka. In Prabhav, that's expansion called Prabhav Prakasha. And Vaibhav Prakasha is when Krishna is expands himself. He's the same person, but he's assuming different mood. And for example, Balaramji. So Balaramji is Vaibhav Prakasha. And from Balaramji, there are other expansions. From Balaramji, there is expansion of Tad Ekatma Rupa. I'm sorry if these words are technical. I'm trying to explain as much as according to my capacity. Tad Ekatma Rupa expand into Prabhav Vilasa, the pastime expansion. Now, from Tad Ekatma Rupa, pastime expansion start happening. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. And this first expansion become Ram, Lakshman, Sita. Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. After this, Prabha Prakasha, or the Chaturvyuha expansion, there is Vaibhav, Vilasa. Vaibhav, Aishwarya. Aishwarya, or we can say the opulence of the Lord, expand as Vaibhav Prakasha as Lord Narayana. And from this Lord Narayana, there is another Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And this from second Sankarshana, the first Purush avatar, or Karunadakshayi Vishnu comes. First Purush avatar or Karunadakshayi Vishnu comes. Now, we can see that at every stage of creation, even in this material world, there is hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This cosmic world is progressing through the subsequent stages. How it is progressing? Because of the presence of the Supreme Super Soul, or these three Purusha avatars, which I am going to discuss right now. So, similarly, the presence of soul in the body enables the body to live and grow. And in the same manner, the presence of Super Soul allows the entire material creation, each universe, and everybody to grow. Even in an atom, the Paramatma is there to continuously exist. So that's how this world, I explained that first Purusha Avatara happened. The first Purusha Avatara, that means the Karunadakshayi Vishnu, he comes. And now the Karunadakshayi Vishnu, he comes, and he lies on the water of the material creation. So what happened? This Karunadakshayi Vishnu, he lies on one portion of the spiritual sky, and he lies there and he generates all the material ingredients for the material creation. He generates all those, Karunadakshayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu, and he start inhaling and exhaling. So when he take a breath, millions of universes comes out from his pores, from all of his pores. And in all these universes, Mahavishnu expand and enter as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, so from the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Brahmaji just pop out from the lotus flower. And now Garbhodakshayi Vishnu expand himself in Shirodakshayi Vishnu. And in Shirodakshayi Vishnu, and this Shirodakshayi Vishnu, what he does, this Shirodakshayi Vishnu, he enters into each atom, into each particle into each atom and each particle, the Shirodakshayi Vishnu atoms, and that's how everything start working. Everything just work because of the presence of all these Vishnus. That's the thing. So the lifespan of each universe is equivalent to only one breath of Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu inhales, all the universes enter back into him and are destroyed. And when Mahavishnu breathes out again, then what happened? Creation takes place once again. And in this way, material world undergoes an eternal cycle of creation, sustenance, and destruction. So all these levels of Mahavishnu is present in this material world just to create this material world. So though there are series of expansion of Krishna, he manifests himself into these Purusha Avatara through the expansion of the expansion of the expansion, because they are like the office forms of Krishna, who do the official work of overseeing the creation, sustenance, and destruction of this material world. So, although these Purusha avatars, these three Vishnus, specifically Shirodakshai Vishnu, which we call our local Vishnu. Local Vishnu means that he has a residence in this universe. In this universe, he has a residence which is called Shwetadeepa. And whenever demigods get into any trouble, they just run to that Vishnu and pray from Shirodakshai Vishnu. Although Krishna is the point, is the source from all the expansions are generating, but in this material world, the other expansions, the incarnations come out from Shirodakshai Vishnu. So that is the series. Now, why Shukdev Goswami, after explaining 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, is explaining this about the Purusha Avatara? Because of the inquiry of Parikshit Maharaj in chapter 9, verse 46, where he asked about the Purush Avataras of the Lord. Now, devotee of the Lord is so attached to the Lord that he wants to know everything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I think in yesterday's Sunday Feast class, somebody has asked that why we just, because Krishna's Leelas, pastimes are so sweet, then why we have to learn about the material creation that he has performed, all these material creation also, and everything is coming from him. Why there is a need? Because the Krishna's intimate Leelas or pastimes are very tasty. They are very nectarian. So why we have to read about all of these things? So the answer to that question is because Krishna is supreme. And how we are going to get that Krishna is supreme? When we get to know about him, when we get to know that how great works he is performing. Otherwise, if we just go and jump into the Rasa Leela of the Supreme Lord, we will start thinking that this boy Krishna is just like me, because he has two hands, he has two eyes, he has one nose, like that. So what is the difference between me and him? So it is very, very important to understand why God or Krishna is great, what other activities Krishna is doing. And in our material life also, in our normal material life, we can see that if we want to love a person, we want to understand, we want to get to know about it. If we don't get to know about that person, how we are going to love that person? So these activities of the Lord as given in cantos 1, 2, 3 very elaborately, in order to make the reader of Srimad Bhagavatam understand that how Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and only he is responsible for the entire spiritual or material creation. He is the only one. First of all, there should be the conviction that Lord Sri Krishna is God himself. And when we go subsequently, when we go into the further cantos, we start understanding, okay, Krishna performed this bottle stealing pastime. Oh, he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. How sweet. He can do these things. He can do these things also. These pastimes also he can perform. He is so nice. And Sri Krishna's Rasa Leela is so nectarian. Why it is nectarian? Because of the baseline understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for his devotees, he plays the flute. Because of his devotees, he become the charioteer of Arjuna. Because of his quality of being extremely merciful on his devotees, Krishna play with the cowherd boys and cowherd girls who don't know anything about the scriptures. So that's how merciful my Lord is. So we know that these cantos, they are compared to the limbs of the Lord. And compared to the limbs of the Lord, so it is very important, as in scriptures it has been described, that while doing the darshan of a deity, we should start from the foot to the face and then forehead. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada has emphasized the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam canto by canto, step by step, so that we can understand the importance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the absolute truth. Now, here, if we see, we have already covered the Purusha avatars and how Purusha avatars play a very important role in the creation, destruction, and creation, maintenance, and destruction. Now, going ahead with the subject matters of discussion as given in the purport. So in purport, Srila Prabhupada has said that when Krishna, as the discussion was happening, that once we understand the supreme nature of absolute truth, then when he comes here and performs his pastime, the devotee of the Lord clearly understand the pastimes and the purpose behind performing those pastimes of the Lord. But non-devotees of the Lord, they again deride him for taking that, deride him, and they misunderstand his personal form. They misunderstand and they think that Krishna is just, he's similar to me. In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, there is a story when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, once he was chanting the names of gopis, and and one of the sannyasi, one of the brahmacharis, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanting the names of gopis, and he criticized Mahaprabhu, thinking that Mahaprabhu is on the same level as him. He was saying that how come it's okay if you chant the names of Krishna? I understand that there is some transcendental benefit to it, but why you are chanting the names of gopis, you are not going to get any benefit out of it. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt that there is mistake in his comment, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became really angry. He just took out the stick and he ran after him. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not a sannyasi, he was a grahastha. And he married 2 times, because his first wife, Lakshmi Priya, she was dead because of snake bite, and then she married again Vishnu Priya Devī, and that's why that brahmachari was thinking that Lord Chaitanya is on the same level, and he had the audacity to criticize Lord Chaitanya in front of him. Then Lord Chaitanya thought, let me take sannyas, so that when I'm in the position of sannyasi, the people will start respecting me more and will start taking my opinions more seriously, and that's how they are going to save themselves from the offenses onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which Lord Chaitanya himself. And in Sri Krishna Leela also, we see that there were so many fools who, even after seeing so many opulences and magical traits of Krishna continue to think that he is on our level or he is just a simple cowherd boy. They are simple cowherd boy. There was a person by the name Pondrak. He was a king and he considered himself as equal to Krishna, and he also had all the weapons, pretending weapons like Krishna. And he challenged Krishna that I am the real Vasudeva, you are not the real Vasudeva, like that. So the fools, Duryodhan was one of the fools too, that even Krishna showed his Virata Rupa form to Duryodhana in the assembly, but still he continued to believe that Krishna is a normal person. So whenever Lord appeared, what happened in his personal form? Fools deride him that he is just a person. And 9.11 Bhagavad Gita also explains, Avajanati mam mudha manushyam tanum ashritam param bhavam ajanato mam bhuta maheshwaram. The foolish men do not know the personality of Godhead in his eternal form of bliss and knowledge. They fail to recognize that the transcendental form of the Lord is non-different from the the personal form of the Lord is non-different from his transcendental form itself. So here, when these discussions we have performed, when Krishna played his Drashya Leelas, or Krishna performed his pastime when he present in his transcendental form as a person in this planet. But what happened when Krishna is not performing his drishya or his prakatya, or the leelas which can be visible by our material eye? What happened in that at that time? Srila Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbha, he is defining that how absolute truth can be realized by people in general in 3 forms. And this topic has also been discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 11, where it has been says, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdate. So in 3 forms, the Lord, absolute truth, can be realized. Impersonal form as well as the personal form. But in Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami he is establishing that the Bhagwan form, the supremacy of Bhagwan form over Paramatma form and Brahman effulgence. And he says that Brahman effulgence and Paramatma form, they are all inside the Bhagwan form. For example, if we have seen that concentric circles, there is small concentric circle, and then a big concentric circle, and then a big concentrated circle. So the 2 small concentrated circles are subset of a big circle. So the understanding is that the big circle is Bhagwan, the another small circle is Paramatma, and the another small circle is Brahman effulgence. So everything is coming from absolute truth, who is a person. So that is the conclusion which Jiva Goswami is given. And on top of that, there is a Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha. He is saying, after establishing the supremacy of the personal form of the Lord, he is saying that Krishna is that personal form. And even in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 28, Ete chamsa kala pumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Indrani Vyakulam Loke Madayanti Yuge Yuge. So this verse, Ete chamsa kala pumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, this is called the Paribhasa Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam. Paribhasha Sutra is a verse which defines the entire literature. So, Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 shlokas in this planet, in this earthly planet. And the paribhasa shloka or sutra is Ete cham sakala pumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Because of establishing the supremacy of Krishna as Bhagavan and his pastimes, how he performs his pastimes, this Srimad Bhagavatam has been given to us. And that's why this is the 10th topic, Ashraya, supreme shelter, is indicating not other than Krishna, not anyone but Krishna. This supreme shelter is Lord Shri Krishna himself, who expand himself as Purusha avatars. And now, so impersonalist and personalist. So even atheists, Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he's saying about, he's mentioning about the atheists also, people who do not have trust on God, or there are 5 types of atheists, which I think I have explained before in the same forum. So I'm not going to repeat that. But in common, what is, the atheists, they do not believe the idea of God. As Srila Prabhupada is saying that, they just cannot believe that Krishna has lifted Govardhan hill. They are mudhas. They cannot believe that Krishna has married so many wives and he expanded himself into so many Krishnas. So these people are atheists. Impersonalists are also one of the covered atheists, but there are atheists who are just default atheists. They don't believe in the existence of the God, and they say, "Where is God?" And they say the idea of God has been introduced simply to ensure morality and good behavior in the society. But there is a logic for belief in the existence of God. So I think this is the last theme of today's discussion, logic for belief in existence of God. First, the creation implies that there is a creator. Whenever we see that there is a garden, or whenever we see that there is some machinery, we always think, oh wow, who is the gardener behind it? Or who is the maker of this machine, right? We always think. So if everything is, every design has a designer behind it. If every garden has a gardener behind it, so how can we say that this vast universe has nobody behind it? So similarly, the creation itself, we can see so many birds, so many living creatures. So the creation itself, the sun, the moon, and the changing of season, the creation itself is revealing that there is a God. There is God. And this universe and everything is superly organized. See, if there is a pile of cloth organized very nicely, we can figure it out that there is someone who has organized this pile so beautifully. So in this universe, all the stars, the planets, everything in the sky, we can see the movements are so precise. Summer is coming on the summertime, winter is coming on the winter time. And not only that, even the organs of our body is very, very intricate, right? Like a computer. And if we see our computer, our laptop, all the particles did not come together at once by itself. Somebody compiled the hardware. So the organ of our body, how they are working, how they are doing their duty. So there was one scientist, Sir Isaac Newton, and he researched through his scientific study that there is God. Once there was a meeting with other scientists, and he just put up a tiny model, and he said, this morning, this tiny model just came into my house by itself. And nobody believed. And they said, it cannot happen. What are you saying? And then he said, do you believe that there is a creator behind this model, a tiny machine or tiny model? Everyone said, of course, this is such a common sense. Then he said, if this is a common sense, then why it is not a common sense that there is a supreme person who is performing everything? And even if they say, oh, that's a supreme energy, nature. But again, the energy means that there is a energetic. Energy cannot work without energetic. There is a person who has the energy who is performing everything. And also, as creation implies creator, law implies lawmaker. That means when we go on the road, we see that there are traffic signals, there are cameras, right? We cannot cross red light, we cannot cross stop sign. So there are laws. So that means there is a government behind it. So when there are rules and laws of nature, we believe on the laws of nature. All these scientists, as Srila Prabhupada said in his purport, the scientists, they just believe on the laws of nature. But who is the maker behind it? Who is the maker who is putting all these laws together? So that we can understand that there must be a super intelligent and powerful lawmaker behind the natural laws in the universe. And the third point is, as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that I am the thread on which all the pearls are stringed. Unseen thread in the creation. Everything is revolving so nicely. Everything is happening so nicely in the universe. All the creation, the time is changing the bodies. People are taking birth, they are dying. Everything is happening in this world. And who is that unseen thread? That unseen thread is God. So with these 3 points proving that there are other points too, because one of the very important point is search for God. Search for God. We are not satisfied by all the material accomplishment. But as soon as we start chanting Hare Krishna and we start associating with the devotees of the Lord, what happened? We feel so nice. We feel so enlivened. Why? Because there is a search of God. And when there is a search of God, like, when we are hungry, when we are given food, we eat it, we become so satisfied. So similarly, the search of God also shows that there is a presence of God. And on top of that, there is the personal experience of God, which has been relished by those people who actually followed the process, and they are now giving it to us. And Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattva dakshina. And in the last line, Srila Prabhupada is saying, we should approach, we should give, if these Mudas give the submissive and oral reception of the messages to the Lord through the channel of disciplic succession, who have seen Lord, who have personal experience with the Lord, at that time, those Mudas become the devotees of the Lord and become eligible to come back to my personal abode. And in other sloka also, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the translation that he is a Nara, the person who is lying on the waterbed. That's why he is called Narayana. And it implies that Narayana is a person. He is not impersonal. So from the atheist, from the impersonalist till atheist, from personal form of the God, and from personal God form of the Lord, Krishna is the supreme shelter and the supreme Lord, was the theme of today's discussion. And there was, I hope that whatever points I covered make sense to all of you present here. Thank you so much for the rapt attention. And I'm so grateful for giving me this opportunity again. So the conclusion from today's verse is that Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam. Hare Krishna. Please, if anyone has any questions, comments, or anything, please unmute yourself and we can have discussion or questions or anything. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. If not, then we can just
Thank you very much, Mataji.
thank
It's
you.
a very beautiful, beautiful discussion.
Thank you,
And
Mataji.
then you covered a lot in this half an hour, you know. It's very, very much, it's very hard to cover this much, but you covered a lot. Thank you very much for all the information you gave. I noted some of them. And for my knowledge, I also that know, like say, Mudha,
Krishna
I have,
Mataji.
huh?
Hare Krishna. I think there was somebody else.
Oh, she's not able to.
Hare Krishna.
Anyway, thank you very much for all the discussions.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
You covered a lot today.
I hope that
Yeah, within this small time, you know, it's not very easy to cover. But I was noting down some of the points. They were very, very much interesting. And like Mudas, you know, some people we cannot understand. But how much in this Bhagavatam we have. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for covering.
I
Thank
hope
you.
I was not going too fast. I'm trying to slow down my pace.
No, but it was very good.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna,
Mataji Guru.
Oh, Sita Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. It was really sweet. I love the examples. You know, you brought up. That was very. It makes it so much simpler to understand when you have good examples, and you had really good examples. So I just wanted to compliment you on that.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your kind words. All is Srila Prabhupada mercy. All are Srila Prabhupada words. I'm just repeating it. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey,
Anyone?
Krishna Mataji, nice class, very nice class. It
Thank
was
you.
really nice to see the list of 10 topics again.
Yeah.
So it was really nicely, you explained very nicely. A lot of things you covered in a short time and very clear.
Yeah,
Nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
the
Thank
time is not enough
you. Time is not for any verse
for
of Shri.
Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Thank you.
namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki